I just installed the aileron crossover tube, and I set the control stick bracket right there to be 20 degrees off plumb using the smart level, and then I taped it. You can see the blue tape, and so that's set in position, as well as this one over here being set in position. And that being the neutral position, the aileron should be fared in to the, where is it? There it is. Should be fared into the winglet, which you can see it's not at all. So there will be some adjustments made, and I suspect it won't be in the linkage here. There. It'll be in a push rod that attaches the aileron with the external bell crank. Now, when I installed this setup here, the front and back supports for the internal bell crank for the torque tube, I am sitting at about an inch behind what is normally specified in the manual. And the reason I did that is I found the location that the push tube in the wing, in the tunnel, would travel the maximum distance, and that position was about an inch aft of the tunnel that the push tube passes through. If I put it in the middle of the tunnel, it would rub on one of the aft spar out at the end of the wing, or it would rub on the speed brake, front speed brake wall. So I found the position up, down, back, and forth that would give me the most travel. And then I cut the push tube. I got I marked the far distance, and you might even be able to see my marks here on the floor. There's the distance it traveled inboard most and outboard most, and then this was the middle. So I dropped a plumb line from the middle of that bell crank and marked it when the push tube was at the middle position, then measured back 2 inches according to the manual, and cut off the push tube there. And how I located the where these supports would be was once I determined the optimum fore aft position of the push tube, I measured from the spar to where that position was, and it was about 11 inches, 10 7/8. And then I came in here and measured from this spar box to the position that I wanted to put the hole in, which ended up to be an inch out. Another thing I did a little bit different here is I put this assembly together with the phenolic block and bell crank, and I found that you could easily get the phenolic blocks, both of them, to rub on that bell crank. So I put a washer in there, and that would keep the phenolic block away from it just enough. And then I measured the distance with the micrometer, caliper rather, from both ends of the far ends of the phenolic block, and that actually turned out to be 2.75 inches. And so I cut a block about 2.78 inches, a block of wood, and put that in a clamp, and then with those two supports together clamped, I put it up against the fuselage and microed it in place. That way I didn't have to mess around with shaving off the ends of that phenolic material. And I also did something a little bit different in locating the holes. Once I kind of did a mock-up to determine where that assembly should be. The measurements that I made, which I did not realize, in the manual the skins, the measurements are made and shown from the inside skin. Well, the inside skins are missing here. They're removed, as you can see in this area here. So my measurements were off the thickness of a fuselage, and so that might have been part of the problem. But anyway, I located that so the belt, at the back of the bell crank, there would be a quarter of an inch clearance right there, and there would be ample clearance on the floor. And more than clearance, I was looking for finding the optimum position that the push tube would be, and I located that. And so I think the measurements are less than an inch in both directions, but certainly more than a quarter. And once I got that position, I drilled my hole. I marked it and drilled a hole. Then I put the phenolic blocks in there and used them as a guide to drill all the way through.